Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to communicate from a Unity game project to an Arduino and an Arduino to a Unity project. We're going to be using the Microsoft's port.io, system.io.ports to do this. So you're going to need two scripts. One of them we're going to be writing in the Arduino IDE, so this is what is going to be ran on the Arduino, and then we're going to have a Unity script as well, C# script. So first we're going to write the code to the Arduino. Just a simple setup that you can see here. So we have a button and an LED, and they're all just wired up, just like so. So nothing fancy. So we're going to get started on this script. So to start off with, we're going to just set the baud rate to 9600. So serial.begin. So this is just the rate in which we're going to be sending and receiving data. And then just so we can get the button and the LEDs to work properly, we're going to set the pin mode. So I'm using pin 2 for the LED, and that's obviously an output, and pin mode and 3 for the button input. So that's the configuration I have decided to go with. Then we're going to create a constant, and this is going to be integer, and this is the size of like how much we want to store data wise. In this case we're going to set it as 50, and we're going to call this buffer size, and we're going to set that as 50, and then a char, and this is the buffer as a keyword, so we'll just go for buff, and then put in buffer size. So this is going to be the array that we store the string that will come in from the game. So if the serial.available, so we're just checking to make sure that data is coming in, because if not, we don't want to be running the same code. We're going to get the length of whatever we've read in using the read bytes function, and we're going to pass it the buffer and then the size, which would be 50, but this way we can change it if we want to. So we're going to check, so if in the buffer the very first element in the array is equal to, and it's very important, so double quotes, that means a string, which we know it's not because it's a char array up here. So we're going to use single quotes in the char. In this case we're going to be doing it as 0, and this is character. And then, so if it's 0, we want to write to our LED, which is pin 2, and we're going to set it as low, which is off. So that means nothing will be passing through. And then we're going to check again to see if position is 0, so the very first position in the array is equal to 1. We're going to set to 2, and that's high, which is going to pass electricity through. Okay, so that was reading in the data. I probably should the game project. Now we're just gonna send data to the display. Oh, sorry, we want to send data to the game. In this case, we're going to use serial.println and whatever the value at position 3 is. 1, 2, yes. Got one extra. There we go. Now we're going to add a delay. I found that a delay of 200 seconds is good enough to make sure that all of the data is being sent correctly and it's not got any issues. It's every single piece of data we want is sent. So we're going to click the upload button here, and this will just compile it to our script. Read bytes. Here we go. I cannot spell. There we go. So that's now sent through. So we're going to go to Tools, and we are going to go to Serial Monitor just to check that this is working. So if I press the button here, that works. And if I send a 1, it should read it in. The LED turns on. And if I send a 0, the LED turns off. Perfect, sorry. So that's what we're doing. Now in the C# script in Unity, all we're really doing is doing exactly what the serial monitor here is doing. Now it's very important that when you are reading the data from in the game, when the game's running and you're trying to read in all of the data, that the serial monitor is closed. Otherwise you're going to get an error. If you get an error like the one that I shall show you in a minute, then it's because it's open. But now we're going to move on to the game. So we're just going to make sure we're in a scene. Of any scene, we're going to create a C# script. Today I'm going to call it controller, let it compile. Okay. The most important thing that we do now is we go to project settings, then under player we scroll down to configuration, and we want to make sure that the API capability level is set to framework, not standard 2.1, and that should automatically change it. Yep, it has. So it's going to recompile the scripts for us. Okay, so it has recompiled. Now we're going to open up the script in whatever editor you want to use. I use Visual Studio. Once the script is opened, we can delete these. And we're going to use the system.io. And using system.threading. So we're just going to ignore that that is giving us a massive error. So first things first, we want to create a thread. Now this thread is going to coincide with the main game thread. If you try and access anything using ports on the main thread, it will just freeze the game completely. And it won't work. So we start off with defining a thread. I'm going to call IO thread, and this is the function that we'll use, so we'll call it data thread. Now we need a port as well, so this has to be static as the data thread function has to be static. this is going to be the incoming message, and then we need an outgoing message as well. And then we're going to set up the function. So private static void data thread, not passing anything in. And that fixes most of the errors. So SP, we need to do a new serial port. So we need to pass in the communication port, which we can find in the Arduino project, and it says it down here, Arduino Uno on COM5. Another way to check it is go to Tools, Ports, and whatever one says Arduino Uno. In this case it's COM5, so we're going to put in COM5, and then this number is the same as what we passed in as the baud rate here. We're passing that in again. It has to be the same, otherwise it won't work. And then we want to open the thread. Now the very next thing that we need to make sure we do is on destroy. So private void on destroy. So this is just when the game closes, when this object gets destroyed, or when the game closes, it will close the port and the thread as well. So IO thread.abort is how you stop the thread, and then sp.close. And this means another application, another program can access the serial port if you want to. If you don't do this, then it will just completely break everything and you won't be able to do anything. So back up in the data thread, and just want to do a while loop. So while the thread is running, which in this case just means true, if the outgoing message is not equal to an empty string, then we're going to sp.write outgoing message, and then we need to set that back to nothing, otherwise it'll just keep sending lots and lots of the exact same data as one big massive string, which we don't want it to do. Then after that, no matter what, we're going to read in the incoming message, and it's read existing, not line. And no matter what as well, we want the thread to sleep for the same amount of time as the Arduino, which in this case is 200. So we've now done the data thread, that's all finished. So in the start function here, we want to start the thread. And we don't need to pass in any data. Now in the update function, we're going to read in the data. So if the incoming message is again not just empty, then debug.log incoming message. That's all you need to do because it's just a string, and then we're going to write some data. So Arduino. So if input.getKeyDown, and then key code, I'm going to use 1, so it's alpha 1, so I'm just going to use 1 and 2, and then going message, we're going to set to 0, was to switch it off, and else input, get key down, key code dot alpha 2. And then we're going to set the outgoing message to 1. And that is everything you need to do. So we're going to go back to here, we're going to recompile the script, and then I'm going to create an empty object, controller, and we're just going to drag in the script. So again, we're just going to make sure that the serial monitor is closed, which it is, because when I hover over this, it's only one instance that's running. We're going to run the game, and it's passing in or reading out 0. It's quite hard to see because it's sending so much data. So if we hold down the button, you'll see it changes to 1. You can't really see it, but down here it says it there. It doesn't auto scroll for whatever reason, but you can see. So it changes, which is perfect. But to send a message to the Arduino, we're going to press 2 on the keyboard, and we'll see it will read it in. There we go. Thank you for watching.